Hey everybody, this is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and I have got yet another CGC unboxing. Now, this is a second box this week that's come in, and that's always fun. I love getting these things come in, especially when I resist the urge to look online to see how I did. And I did resist. I was real good about this one, and this one right here is, just so you know, is not a pre-screen like the last one, but it is a modern order. And one of the reasons I didn't do a pre-screen on this one was this is one of those orders that I've got books ranging probably all the way back into the 70s up until probably close to 2001 maybe. And I wasn't too worried about the values if they dipped down on some of these books. If they got lower grades, it's fine, because as you'll see, the books in this order, there's ones in here that I can get lower grades on, and I took that into account. Hopefully they're not too low, but if they did get lower grades, that's okay. There's still value in some of these. And then there were some of these in here that I really expect to be really good, and if they're not really 9.6s, 9.8s, I'm going to be disappointed in some of these. So this is a hodgepodge of an order. I'm excited about some of these books. A lot of these books are from my PC, but other books are ones that I picked up from the Baltimore Comic-Con and a lot of the shows during the fall that I've been working on, doing my own cleaning and pressing. I think I did pretty good on these. We'll find out. As you know, in one of my previous videos, some of the books that I've done the same sort of thing on, it didn't come out quite as well as I thought. I think it sat there for a while, and there was some reversion back to some of the paper creases that might have been in there. But anyway, let's get into this box. We'll see how we did. Yeah, 25 books. And you'll be happy to know I found the knife. It was under some rubbish here sitting on the side of the TV here. So let's get into it. Alright, now this is interesting. A lot of people have been getting back to CGC orders recently, and they seem to have gotten away from the big corrugated pads like this, especially on the top of your order. So it seems like they've been doing a lot of bubble mailers, or bubble wrap rather, on top. And I really like when they put this on all four sides of the box. It seems like it does really good. It's one of the things I've been using these sometimes when I send in a submission that I really want to protect when I'm sending to CGC. I'll recycle those. Alright, so I don't know the grades on this. There's the invoice. And I'm not going to look. I'm going to try to look away here and see what we did. Okay. And good, I've got the books backwards, so I don't know what we got. So we're going to start off with a banger of a book here. And I'm going to take it out of the plastic and still try not to look. But we've got Marvel Secret Wars #1. And let's see how we did. Hey, that's not too bad. We got a 9.6 on this. I think, I'm not sure where I'm going to apologize. It's late. This is another one of those videos that I'm doing literally at 3 o'clock in the morning as soon as I got home from work. And I'm really excited about opening these boxes, so I don't sit down and do a little pre-work where I go over, make sure I know where all these books come from. I do in a lot of these orders. I actually, with my submission, I literally will do a spreadsheet and I will list not just where I got it from, but how much I paid for it, so I can pretty much instantly know what it's worth, basically. Plus it tells me where it came from, which is pretty important, because then I can definitely go back and find out how much I paid for it. But I don't think this was one of my original copies. But I come to think of it, maybe it is. I think this might be one of my personal copies that I picked up back in the day that I had submitted. I thought it was really clean to begin with, and I think that this is one that didn't get the 9.8 originally. I went back and worked on it. There was a little bit of ticks and everything, and got to be happy. That's 9.6 on that. That's really nice. It's a beautiful cover. Love Mike Zeck artwork. All right, second book up here. All right, this is a pretty big book right now with Kang coming to the MCU. This is Fantastic Four 273. And I think this is the first full appearance of Nathaniel Richards, who I guess is, what is he, a future Kang? Is that how that goes? I'm so confused about that. But let's see how we did. All right, we got a 9.0 on that. That's a little lower than I expected on this, but I'd have to go back and kind of do a little research and see where this one came from. But I expected the better on this, but we'll take a 9.0. As I said, there's value in some of these in lower grades, just as long as it doesn't go too low. This might be verging on that a little bit, but got a 9.0 on 273. And I didn't go back and look at the list. I might have 2 of those in here. And I do. All right, let's pull this one out of the bag and see how we did on the second one. All right, how did we do? All right, we did a little bit better on that one, and we got a 9.2. Okay, so that's not shabby, not fantastic, but not shabby. So, got 2 of those. And I'll tell you, one of the things I'm learning on this is on some of these books, especially these 80s books that I've been working on, I'm trying to learn from my, I don't want to say mistakes, but learn from when I'm sending these books in and what I'm working on and what to look for in damage and everything. And right now, I look at these, I thought these were pretty clean. I didn't think they were going to be 9.8s, but I kind of thought they would hit that 9.4, 9.2. But this might be more me thinking that maybe I should get to know what the grades really are a little bit better. But anyway, that's the way it is. Okay, we got Avengers 257. This is the first appearance of Nebula. And it's not the first one of these I've sent in, and I think I picked this one up at Cards, Comics, Collectibles up in Reisterstown, Maryland, back on their big Thanksgiving sale, if I remember right. And let's see how we did. All right, we got a 9.4 on that. I think I'd gotten a couple of 9.6s on a couple of these earlier. So that's still respectable. 9.4 is respectable on that. I think she is supposed to be a big part of the Guardians #3 movie. So even bigger than what she's been in the last 2, even. All right, let's see if I did have a second one of that. Okay, no, I didn't, but now this is going to get interesting because this is the start. These are books, some of these books right here I picked up with Baltimore Comic Con that I was really going after during the fall. They were the Avengers, origin of the Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, the first Darkhold, and of course I'm talking about Avengers 185, 186, 187. I'm not sure which ones, if I have them all in this order or not, but I've got a 185 right here in my hands, and we'll see how we did. Ooh, that's not good at all. So this is definitely going to be one that I'm hoping that they have some greater notes on, and we'll see what we missed on that. Let's see if we can see anything right off. Well, I see a little bend down there in the bottom right-hand corner. And I'm wondering if that was something done when they were handling it, or if it was something where maybe it had some paper memory that it popped back or something. All right, next one up. Okay, so we did Fantastic Four 273. Now I've got 272, and this is, of course, the first. I think it's the first real appearance of Nathaniel Richards. Maybe it's cameo. I'm not sure, but it is part of that part of the story introducing that version of Kang. That eventually will become Kang, I suppose. And let's see how we did. All right, that's respectable. Got a 9.4 on that. That's real nice. Yeah, I can't complain about that. I mean, these were books that I knew that I was going to have to work on. I was trying to buy books relatively inexpensively, so I was taking into account how much I could actually work on the books and get them bumped up. So in a case like this, this one right here, right along the spine right there, there's definitely a color breaking spine tick there. I know it's not going to be a 9.8. The question is was there any other defects that was going to knock it down? Obviously there was a little bit more, so it knocked it down to a 9.4, whereas I'd really hope we get a 9.6 on that. All right. Here is, we were talking about the Avengers before, 186. This is the big book of those three. And let's see how we did. I'm not sure where I picked this one up though. All right, that's not bad. Got a 9.2 on that. There's a lot of value in that. So real happy with that. That's really nice. Yeah. I love this. I love the John Byrne artwork back in the day on these. These were really just spectacular. What's up next? Okay, so we have another copy of 272. So looks like I did 2 copies of each, 272 and 273. Let's see how we did. Got a 9.0. Okay, that one got knocked down further than I expected. But I'll tell you this, for a 9.0, it presents really well. That's really nice. I mean, I'm not seeing anything right off. There's definitely no color rub. There is some of that rough edge at the top, but I really think it's when the books are cut. It's done by the printer. So anyway, 9.0, no, it's not too spectacular. But as I said, and I keep saying, there's value in these at lower grades, and that's what we were doing here. All right, now here's a book that I found in my collection. And if you watched any of my previous videos, you know how much I like facsimiles. I love getting these facsimiles because I believe that there's a lot of value in those books, just what they are. They're just another comic book. It's not the original, but if you stop thinking about it as being the original comic book, it's just another comic book. And there's value, it has its own value. And so that's why I get a lot of these done. I speculate on those books just like I do any other comic book. And I found this in my collection and I really never liked it. It was and I'll show you to you here, it is the Facsimile reprint of Fantastic Four 50, which one is this? It's 52, of course the first appearance of the Black Panther, reprinting that. And I remember opening this up and you look at the pages and it's not a perfect reproduction in the sense that pages aren't white or anything, but if you look at it another way, it actually is a perfect reprint because they took photographs of an actual comic book and you see the texture of the newsprint paper. They reprinted it from a comic book, not just a straight up reproduction. And what I found was that there was some crazy value with this book. I mean, I'd have to go back and double check, but it was like, this is really insane how much this can be worth. So, and anyway, let's take a look here. Okay, let's go. That right there is fantastic, especially if the value that I think that it had when I sent this out is actually correct. We'll have to double check on that, but part of this is a modern book. This came out in 2006, excuse me. And I know that there was a little bit of creasing over here, but it didn't break the color or anything. And when I start questioning my ability to press something like this right here, I come back over here and I know I got those defects out, and I bumped that up. It was not going to get a 9.8 the way it was, but that was me getting this up to a 9.8. So I'm real happy with that. That is spectacular. And if I find out what the value is before I release this video, I'll try to put it on the video, and of course I won't be talking about it, but I'll put it down in the notes somewhere on the video screen here, and we'll find out what it really is, fair market value is for that. All right, here is Mighty Avengers #1. I remember picking this up, I think at the Baltimore Comic Con. It was a late pickup. I didn't as big of an Avenger fan as I am. They started doing so many titles in the 2000s, and it was too many books, and I didn't pick up every new sub Avengers book that there might have been. So I never got this, but it is, I believe this is the first appearance as, well, it's a former Captain Marvel as, is it Photon or Spectrum, where she takes on that mantle in this issue. And of course with the WandaVision show, and her coming back as in the Marvels, the MCU movie, this book has kind of gone up and it's kind of gone down, so I'm expecting this book to go back up in value again once that movie gets a lot closer. So let's see how we did. Oh, that's not great. So a 9.4 on that really drops us down. I expected better on that. Man, so far we're on a roller coaster here. This right here would be considered a fail in terms of what I did. Now, I'm hoping that we'll see some greater notes on this one, but yeah, that one dropping down to 9.4 is really disappointing. I had better hopes for that one. Okay, now here is a nice book. It's one of those series I didn't even remember I picked them up, but I picked up the whole series. It was the Young Avengers, the original series. I guess it was 12 issues, and I didn't even realize I had it in my collection until years later when I'm cataloging things. It's like, oh yeah, I had those things. And a few of those books, I mean, that's what they're basing the new MCU on. These characters are coming, and you see them in you saw them in WandaVision show. You saw them in the I guess it was the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. But this right here is issue number 6. And this, I believe, is the first appearance of Stature. I guess it's Scott Lang's daughter taking on the mantle of, well, I don't know if she actually can shrink, but, taking up Scott Lang's position and everything. We'll see how we did on this. I remember exactly when I got this book. Let's go. Oh man, that is awesome. This right here was the very last book I picked up at the Baltimore Comic-Con this year. I was on the way out the door, and I've talked about a little bit of that last half a day at the Baltimore Comic-Con, and I suppose you see this at every big show like that. You've got dealers from across the country. They're trying to get out of there. They vacate their tables, and you see other dealers take up space, and they've got books out, and that's what this was. And this dealer had out on the table a few things, and I started going, something that caught my eye. Wasn't this one though, but I was going through the boxes and I found a copy of this that I thought was at a really good price. It was one of the books on my list. And I ended up paying, I remember, I'm not sure what I paid now. I can go back and look, but I knew that if I can get a 9.8 on this right here is one of those that will help pay for an order. So that right there, that's spectacular. That's awesome. Man, this roller coaster just keeps going, man. I'll tell you. All right, let's try not to look down here. All right, here's a book that has seen its highs and come down somewhat, but it is New Avengers number 11. And am I right? Is this the first appearance of Ronin, the Echo as Ronin? I believe that's what this is in this one. And this one, I'll tell you what, every one of these I have seems like they have some issue of a spine tick over in the side, and I just revealed the grade, and we got a 9.2. And that right there is probably one of the reasons why. And I'd have to go back and look at that, but that is a little bit of a disappointment. But yeah, it's the first appearance of Ronin, and as I said, I think this is the Echo version of Ronin. But yeah, I see a little crease right there. Nothing major, but 9.2 on that is, man, they hammered me on that one. So again, just an absolute gorgeous book. And if there was more value in this, it's definitely one that maybe I should have saved this for one of those 9.8 submissions, because that would have saved me the grief on this, and I could have gone back and evaluated the book and maybe resubmitted it. Or maybe I it had value at a 9.6. Maybe I submitted in a submission for that. But as a 9.2, I don't think there's too much value in that. But that is a beautiful 9.2. All right. All right, what's next? What's next? Okay, this right here was a free book. I went to my other LCS for, which was it? I think it was local comic book day. Yeah, it was local comic book day. And I made a point of getting there early because I think the first 20 people in line they gave a special gift bag to. And they didn't tell you what was going to be in it or anything, but they came out, they gave you a bag, and they gave you, you open it up, and there was maybe 5 or 6 books in there, and they were, some of them they had, I want to say they had a couple of their exclusive cover books and a couple of things, but they had this book in there too, and every one of us just kind of looked at each other. Every one of us got a copy of this, and we're all just kind of looking at it, like, well, is this the first print, or wait, I don't know. So I'll show you this. It was Strange Academy #1, the main cover, and it's a book that I didn't get when it came out. I came into it late, so I missed the boat. But thank you, Third Eye Comics, for this copy right here, and let's see what we did. Let's go. Let's go. Oh my God, that's great. So, free book, and we got a 9.8 on that. So that right there, talk about return on investment. Man, that is awesome. Oh my God. That is freaking awesome. Oh my God. I'm so excited. All right. Let's keep this train going. Okay. You know what? I'm going to save this one and this one, these two, for the last, because it's going to, I'll talk about these books later, but it's something that will predict the future, and it'll be an interesting CGC unboxing on those eventually, because I've got more of this particular book down the road. So we'll skip over it. All right, we got Fantastic Four number 280, and this right here, it's not a super valuable book, but I think at the time I don't even really say spec, but there is the first appearance of Malice. That is the Sue Storm, Visible Woman as Malice in this. And it's beautiful John Byrne artwork. And that's about really it. You'd have to get a super high grade on this for it to be really worth something. We'll see how I did on this. It drops off, and I'll probably just eat it and keep it in the collection. But talk about learning lessons. This is a book that I should have stuck into a pre-screen just to protect myself from it. This is one, if it drops off the cliff, then I'm done for. So we'll see how we did. Let's see. Oh my God. Oh my God. So right there, 9.8 and 9.8. Wow. That is awesome. Man, it is really just all over the place with these guys at CGC. You know, what did I miss on some of these other books from the same era? I mean, 272, 273, right in front of these, and you know, I do the same work on every one of these books. They get examined the same way. I treat every book the same, depending on what the severity is. You know, what the problems are. But right there, thank you CGC. A little askew in there, not quite straight, but that's awesome. 9.8 on that. That's awesome. I needed a 9.8 on that, as I said, to have value. Okay, so here's a book that I didn't pick it up in the original, when it originally came back out in the 70s. I had some of those books in the 70s, but I didn't have the first issue of this. And I know there was a point in the 90s, once I was out working, actually making money, moved up to the Baltimore area, and I started going to comic book shops, and I was picking up runs of 70s comic books at the time. I was picking up a ton of this book. I was picking up a lot of Master of Kung Fu, Tomb of Dracula. I'm trying to think what else. There were some runs like that I just picked up a ton of these books for, and we're talking $2 to $4. So, and wasn't really too concerned about condition, but I was more about just getting them into the collection and wanting to have copies of it. Wasn't speculating or anything. Just like I wanted to have these in my collection. I wanted to have runs of these things. But here we got Miss Marvel #1, and I actually had this for sale for a long time on my eBay store as a raw book, and this was put up after the Miss Marvel, or excuse me, Captain Marvel TV or movie came out. But this one, you know, I think it was a really good condition. I don't think, my guess, it was probably that mid, very fine plus kind of range that I hope to be able to push up just a little bit in grade. But so I pulled it out because I felt like at that time I had put up for sale before I started cleaning and pressing it, and I said, well, am I just kind of giving the book away? There's a lot of value in it if we can get a decent grade. So I took a shot at this, and let's see what we did. That's pretty good. 9.0, I can't complain with that. You know, we got a 1977 book right there. That's awesome. That is awesome. I mean, you've got some little soft corner down here, but there's a little crease right there. Again, I tell you, I'm readjusting things as I'm cleaning and pressing. I'm going to hold on to books longer rather than rushing them out the door, so I can kind of give them a little bit of time to see if there's some reversion back to maybe a spine crease or something. And lessons learned on that, but that's really nice. Not sure what the value is in that. You know, maybe I'd hope for a little bit better, maybe a 9.2 even. But yeah, I've got to be happy with that. That's definitely, I think I definitely added some value to that book. All right, here is another, I think it is the second copy of this book that I've owned. First one was on my PC. This one I picked up at the Baltimore Comic Con. I remember picking it up. I remember exactly where I was when I picked this book up. But it is Infamous Iron Man #1, the regular cover. And I want to say this is the first appearance of the AI Tony Stark. And a little bit of spec on this. I think there's been talk about that they bringing that character to one of the MCU Disney Plus shows. And the first one I got on this was a personal triumph in cleaning and pressing. It was an early attempt, and it had damage down there on the spine, and I worked that book multiple times to get that up, and I ended up with a 9.6, and I was super happy with it. So this one looked cleaner to me. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's see what we got. Let's go. Woo! That is awesome. That is awesome. There's some nice value in a book like this at a 9.8. God, that is awesome. So, real happy with that. Again, another success story with doing your own cleaning and pressing. You can do these things. So again, I started off with a really good book that was in really good shape. Gotta say, on that one, when I picked it up at the show, it looked really good. So I was happy with that. Oh, okay. So here is my copy of Infinity Gauntlet #1. And excuse me for 1 second while I reset the monitor. Sorry about that. Here as I ramble on for another way too long today, but I've got Infinity Gauntlet #1. I want to say this is my original copy of this. I had this since it came out. I thought it was a super clean copy to begin with. I sent it in an early 9.8 submission because I felt like it met that. It got rejected. I went back and worked on it some more. So let's see what we did. Yes! Yes! 9.8. Oh my god, that is fantastic. That is fantastic because this is the second one I've gotten graded. I got the first one back a couple weeks ago in the George Perez books that I had sent in for his signing. Now the signing got canceled because of his declining health, but I went ahead and kept the books in there, and I ended up getting it graded, and that copy that I bought, and I even got the George Perez special label and everything, and I felt like that one was a really good book, but I understand because the Graders Notes said that the corners, and I think it said all 4 corners were a little soft, and that's why they knocked it down to a 9.6, which was still really nice. But getting a 9.8 on this, where I felt like it was a 9.8 to begin with, man, that right there, yeah, that might be hard to give up. This one might have to give up that 9.6 now, but this 9.8 is going to stay with me for a while. Oh my god, it's fantastic. All right, continuing on here. All right, so this is the 3rd book from Walt Simonson on his historic Thor run. I mean, I know he worked on Thor earlier than 337, but this is 339, and there's not a lot of value. You've got to get a 9.8 on this book to have significant value, and I felt it was really clean. I think this was my PC copy. I'm not sure, but let's see how we did. 9.2 on that. I wonder what they got me on that. We got white pages. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what the Graders Notes on. If you're interested in it, you know, when you watch this video and you're curious about it, maybe I'll put it in the description at some point. Maybe I'll put a you can write in and I'll respond and I'll let you know what some of the Graders Notes were. All right. I knew I had the 2nd copy of this. This is the 2nd copy of that, Fantastic Four 280. As I was saying, the first appearance of Malice. Beautiful. By the way, what a beautiful action scene between Malice and She-Hulk. I mean, that right there was just a great battle scene. And you think She-Hulk is the most one of the most powerful people in the Marvel Universe, but I think this was one of those when. I tell you, when Sue Storm goes evil, it proves that she's probably the most powerful person in the MCU. So, let's see how we did on the 2nd one. Oh, okay. So, I guess that's sort of what I was expecting, you know, knowing that the history of some of these 80s books, I'm getting knocked on a little bit. But, got a 9.2 on that. That's going to end up staying in PC because I don't think anybody's going to want a 9.2 in a book like that. But, hey, it is what it is. Got a 9.8 on the other one. Got to be happy. All right. I'm going to save that one, and I'm going to save this one. So, actually, there's 4 books that I'm going to look at, but one of them in particular. All right, now here's a book that I remember I told you I was picking up books at Jeppy, or I didn't even tell you where, but I was picking up at Jeppy's here in Baltimore. And the last 2 here are books they've been in my collection since probably the early 90s, the first couple years in the early 90s. And not super valuable, but I felt like they were good candidates to get clean and pressed. If I could push them up to in the 9 ranges on any of these, there's a little bit of value in these, but let's start with the first one. It's Daredevil 150. This is the first appearance of Paladin. There's actually a little bit more value in this one than the last one I've got there. And let's see how we did. All right, we got a 9.0. Now, not too bad. 1978 book. I tell you, the 9.0s in my submission here look fantastic. It's still a really good grade, and that's still in the very fine range, so you can't complain, really. It would have been nice to get these bumped up higher. You really need to get them up higher, 9.4s, 9.6s, to start seeing a little bit of value. There's not a lot of value in that. Not too much, I don't think, but it is what it is. All right, last book. This is Daredevil 132. This is the second appearance of Bullseye. I never had the first appearance, but it's funny, I had all the other appearances. 131, I think there was a couple in the 40s, so it was weird. I just never had 131. And same idea with this that I just did with 150. I picked it up for a couple bucks and just had it in my collection all these years. Let's see how we did. All right, we did a little bit better. We got a 9.2. So we got a 9.2 on the second appearance of Bullseye. So that is awesome. They even say it right up there. Second appearance of Bullseye. Yeah, that's really nice. yeah, I can't complain. All right, so I've got 4 final books. There's 2 different books, but I've got 2 copies of each one, and I'm gonna try not to look at the grades and figure out which one's which here. All right, let's start with this one, because if you see the first one, you're going to know what the second one is. So I've got 2 of each. So let's start with Fantastic Four 243. This is part of that 3-part story with Galactus and the first appearance of Nova, as Frankie Ray as Nova. Beautiful John Byrne artwork. You've got the Avengers, Doctor Strange, Fantastic Four taking on the Galactus. Beautiful battle scenes and everything. This one's not the most valuable between this and what's going to be the last book. Of course, it's going to be 244. But there is some value in this, and hopefully I've got these bumped up enough that we can have a good return on investment in these, because these still in high grade are still not that cheap. The other 244 is much more can be much more expensive, but 243 can run you a few dollars to get it in a really good grade. And it's got that white spine over here that if you, well, I'll show you the grade. There you go. All right, we got an 8.0. So that right there is that's a bit of a fail, but there may be a little bit in this. Probably try to move this at some point, because I know I've got more 243s out there, and I've got one in my hand here. So we'll see how we did on that one. But yeah, let's talk about this a little bit. You got the white cover, but it's got where it's framed off here, where the art ends, they've got a black line. It's not part of the back cover or anything. It's just the area where the art stops. And I've seen it's definitely very easily picks up spine ticks. I mean, there's one color breaking right here by the staple. You can see it. I definitely had hoped for a better grade on this, but hopefully it's not too much of a foreshadowing of what's to come on some of these. But let's see what we got on the second one here. Maybe we did better, hopefully not worse. There, we got 243. Let's see what we did. All right, we got a 9.0, so that's definitely better. This is more in the respectable range on this. Not super valuable at all, but this right here, again, I'm telling you, just an absolute gorgeous 9.0. Man, I mean, it's just a shame that there's not a lot of value in this. People buy because of the grades, but I tell you, you should sometimes look at these and you're just kind of look at them and like, wow, this is really nice. Now it's funny, I'm looking right here and I can, with the light, I can see a crease down here in the bottom right-hand corner. It's down right here, and again, we could go back to that paper memory. Did the books revert back in the time that it spent waiting to be graded? This is starting to become a really big concern, and I think it's going to change my process. As I said, I think I'm going to be working on books, and I'm going to try to store them very well, make sure they stay flat and everything. They may end up, they'll be reevaluated at a certain stage, but I think I'm going to slow the process down. I'll still send out books, but once I get these into this process where I hold on to them for a little bit longer, books just won't go flying out the door, but they'll still be going out eventually. All right, so here is the big book out of this. This is a book that, if you've watched enough of my videos, you know I go on about this book. I love this book. It has been super tough and challenging to find absolutely top grade books without paying an arm and a leg, because even books with spine ticks, you're paying an arm and a leg. And I have spent way too much money this summer and fall buying these. We'll see how we do. There's definitely some value in the lower grades, and let's hope so, because I have a future order coming up where I think I've got at least 11 of these books in the order. I think I was out on my mind a little bit, but yeah, we'll see. That's going to be an interesting video down the line, but let's see how we did. All right, we got a 7.5. So that right there, yeah, and I can see it. And I think this was from the PC, from the original. There is definitely some wear around this staple right here, a little bit up here too. So it still presents really well. I'm telling you. I mean, if you pick up some, I mean, you can find some other books that are graded 7.5 and it'll look much worse than this will ever look. So, got a 7.5 on that. Alright, last one. We got one more, 244. Let's see how we did. Alright. 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 I tell you. 9.4 on that. That is super. That is super. Yeah, the looks much better over here. It does. Staples are in better placements. You have a lot less wear. I gotta tell you, I probably did this book. Well, one, I was investing a lot of money into it, and into each of these copies, and I felt like I was going to get them graded regardless. And I wasn't knowing that the values you can still have value at lower grades. I didn't worry about pre-screens on this book, but it's going to be interesting. It's really probably a pretty expensive experiment to see how all of these books are going to come out. I think in the end, I'm going to, if I have grades all over the place on this, I think I'm going to have a really good, my own personal library of what these grades really look at. And who knows, I may end up keeping a lot of those. If that's the way it turns out, I may end up keeping a lot of these as guides to other books from the similar era. Do they have the same kind of defects? Do they present the same way? We'll see. Anyway, guys, that is it. That is the last book in this submission. I gotta say, overall, I am really stoked about this order. The ones that dropped down, I get it. Move on from them. There's enough value in an order like this that will really compensate for some of the ones that drop down. Yeah, this one right here, return on investment. Now, one side note is I do have to go back in this order, and I need to go, when I said I got to go find out where these books come from and what I paid for them. That's going to be the real determining factor for what I can turn these books around for and sell, because some of these will stay in a PC, but most of these will be sold. I have for sale. Eventually they'll be in my my eBay store. But you can always reach out to me at collectorauctions.com, and I will have these available. And I'll take reasonable offers, definitely, on this. I'm not in the business to hold on to everything. I want to hold on to a handful of things and move the rest and help pay for this hobby. So anyway, guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't think I'm going to have another CGC boxing for a while. Probably not within the next. Probably within the next month, I'll probably see another one come in, because I started staggering a little bit more after these orders. As I said, these orders went out in early December. Did I say that? I don't even remember if I told you that, but they went out in early December and arrived there on the 14th of December, and I got these back. Today is, I got these back on the 9th when I'm filming this on the morning of the 10th. So it tells you when this video comes out, you'll know exactly what day I actually got these on. Yeah. So next order CGC unboxing will be probably in the next month. But I will have some unboxing videos, and I picked up some really nice stuff this last month, and I'll go over that. So you'll see me in that video. But anyway, guys, take care, and I will talk to you later.